Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, welcome to your 8 p.m. engineering fun hour. It's me, Lady Ada, your host for tonight. With me is Mr. Lady Ada, camera control, except when we have a robot camera, in which case he's the camera control. We're here at the Adafruit factory where we have all sorts of fun robots making electronics. We do all the design, code writing, firmware, hardware, manufacturing, testing, shipping of all the Adafruit goodies that you know and love that power your projects. We've got an exciting show for you tonight. Next hour is full of new products, news, videos, trash bots, all sorts of exciting things.
We had a lot.
Why don't you tell what's on tonight's show, Mr. Lady Ada?
On tonight's show, the code is NYC Power Move. Use the code 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. except for gift certificates and Ada Box that supports us, an independent electronics company, New York City, USA. There's some of our team members and more. When you buy electronics, it supports us and all these shows. Show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. Lady will talk about who is on the show and more. Some beautiful, amazing projects this week. Packed mailbag. It's going to be a little different this week. We did caption contest. We're going to talk about that. Time travel, look back in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers, current news and more. I'm in New York City. Factory footage, some behind the scenes. 3D printing. I'm Pedro printing up a bunch of stuff, and I also have kind of a fun make code thing with 3D printing this week. New products. Top secret. We'll answer your questions. Where do we do that? Discord. Adafruit.it/Discord. Go there now. You should go there now throughout the show. And at the end, we will answer questions. And we also give something away. Trivia question. All that and more on Ask an Engineer. Okay, Lady Ada, let's pay some bills. Don't forget, the code is NYC Power Move. Lady Ada, when people order stuff, when they put things in their cart, they'll get different things. What do they get?
They get some free stuff. We have freebies as we have for quite a bit, but they're always until we run out. So get stuff now to make sure you get these freebies. $99 or more, you get a free Proto half-size breadboard. This little breadboard matches your half-size solderless breadboard, makes it really easy to take your project from prototype to a more finished, beautiful look, and then you can recycle your breadboard. $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States. It's good quality shipping, yum, delicious, fills you up, won't leave you hungry, comes with tracking, shows up when it says it's going to show up. And then $299 or more, you get a free Circuit Playground Express, our premier best of breed learning and hacking platform. This microcontroller board has all sorts of goodies on it, can run Arduino, CircuitPython, or MakeCode. It's the easiest and best way to power your next project.
Okay, and multiple forms of shipping, UPS, Postal, DHL, International. DHL's best deal going on. UPS ground, we suggest that for the US, trackable, and Postal if you absolutely must. But just keep in mind, every single month you see the latest news. There's like someone who like I've been storing mail for 40 years. It's like where'd that package go? So sometimes Postal, it's okay. It's gotten better sometimes, but UPS.
We really recommend UPS for domestic, DHL for international. But Postal Services, if you're willing to wait a while, and it's okay if it gets lost.
Okay. Same day delivery in New York City. All you need to do is check out before 11 a.m. And if you do, and your zip code in Manhattan is there, you can get it for the end of the day. Just have to check out before 11 a.m. Okay, Lady Ada, show and tell. It was epic this week. People around the world sharing their projects. What was on the show and tell this week?
Yes. We started off with JP from Adafruit West. He's showed off a preview of tomorrow's John Park workshop. He made a hand demo using cardboard and force servos. And you can use capacitive touch to control the fingers, so it can play like rock, paper, scissors. It can count in binary. It can, do all sorts of hand signs. So check that out. He's going to be showing how to build that tomorrow, but he showed a preview of it tonight. Known Pedro talked about this week's 3D Hangouts project. We'll be showing the video later. It's a 3D printed drone claw that recycles the LED light on their DJI drones. So you don't have to do any special RC modifications. It just like clips right on. Kattni just got back from PyCon, talked a little bit about how much fun it was at PyCon, and also talked about the guide that she wrote and wrapped up right before she took off for that event, where you take a Gemma M0 and you can modify it with code to have different capacitive touch controlled LED lights. So check that out. It's called Badge Lights in the Learning System. Then we had JMK come by. There's a JMKOS update called Mist is the code name. Now it's class support. All the code has been split up into modules. Also, JMK wrote a virtual world in ASCII that him and his brother can hang out in, and there's all sorts of cool ASCII art for all the different things that you can do in this virtual world. Sean made an intelligent Earth resource analysis network using ham radios. So Raspberry Pis with temperature sensors can transmit over MQTT and ham radio to Amazon AWS, so you can have very remote modules that use 2-meter radio or other ham radio that basically can travel extremely far distances, even if there's no cell phone coverage, and give you an idea of what's happening with the Earth, what the temperature is, and maybe can also do humidity, maybe carbon dioxide levels. So he's planning on how do we design a network for taking care of the Earth and analyzing its resources so we can make sure that we use them correctly and well and live nicely with the Earth. Chris Young released an update for his infrared Arduino library. Now it supports the Metro M4 and SAMD51 chipset. He learned a lot and got it all working. Also, he's been creating a custom feather, TFT, and relay wing design, and using Fusion 360 to design the box. He showed some of the models he made, and he did like JPEG skinning, so taking the images from the products and overlaying them onto the product. So even if you don't have all the 3D elements modeled, you can at least see where the silk screen is and where like the chip is and stuff. So it can be kind of handy for like getting a feel for your 3D model. He'll come back later and talk about what the project does. Techniac got a new laser cutter. It's a Glowforge, and he's trying out some materials that are not like official materials, and wants to crowdsource a site called Glowforge Settings where people can upload, like, here's this weird material I got that's,
or settings from materials you can get at a Home Depot specifically.
Home Depot, or but probably other like fabric stores, just like other this weird stuff that you want to cut.
Yeah.
That isn't, maybe people don't have the settings for, and so maybe having we did this for our laser cutter.
Yeah, we published everything. I remember we did such a good job. We got an email from someone saying, I'm going to make a laser cutting business and put it in every shopping mall. Do you care? And we're like, no, that's cool.
Yeah. And then
like,
he went to Las
tutorials.
Vegas. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
But yeah, for the Glowforge, so check that out. If you have a Glowforge, you want to share your settings in a website. He made it with Wix. You also got a Circuit Playground. He's going to make a sound reactive pocket square. Handy. Ranjeep showed off a project he's been working on for 2-3 years. He cares for reef tanks. These are tanks that have 5 to 25-year-old reefs in them, and you have to make sure the temperature and the pH level and the light level.
This is like one of the hardest things to do with aquariums.
This is like advanced.
It's salt water, it's pH, it's absolutely everything. And as a group of people is doing this, we're going to post about it later. But fantastic, beautiful project too.
Yeah, and so there's wall-mounted electronics that track all the sensing, control the light level, control the pH, control the water, like add more water so it doesn't dehydrate, evaporate away. Really beautiful tanks and well taken care of.
Gives you an idea of the amazing things that happen in nature, but also how delicate it is.
It's so delicate.
We need the most advanced electronics and things to keep these reefs. When if they were just hanging out in the ocean and things weren't a little squirrely, sometimes they'd be fine. But it's really neat. I think having that much information about how important things are, and the reefs are, I think he said 40 years old. Like
some of them,
it could be devastating if you've been taking care of one for a really long time.
And he said the biggest problem is the heater dies. There's a problem with power.
It's not just that. If you have that, then you have the specific type of fish that can live there too.
No, now you're responsible.
It's high stakes.
No, there's like a whole civilization that you're now responsible for. And then Danon came by and made a 3D printed Cosmo charger and some sort of cool headset battery holder that holds USB battery packs. There's some maker charades time, but I think we've kind of figured it out.
Yep.
So we had some beautiful and interesting projects for Show and Tell.
All
Please
participants
watch video.
on the Show and Tell get as seen on the Show and Tell sticker. Email support@adafruit.com. This is part of our Adafruit Live series of shows. Tomorrow's JP's show, John Park's workshop, and I have a couple of videos, previews. We've been doing cardboard techniques, so we did some 3D modeling with
it's a servo and a wire showing how to use it.
It's a good illustration, and then here's the actual projects. So tune in tomorrow for JP Show, or if you miss it, you can go to youtube.com/Adafruit or whatever other places we broadcast to, like Facebook and Twitch and Periscope and Mixer and all those places.
You may learn some handy tips.
Yep. Back to Mailbag. This week's a little different. So we normally read the letters, emails, and more that people send us because we have a weekly meeting that we do called State of the Fruit.
That's right.
This week, I wanted to thank the community out there. So we had these graphics that we put out there, and we said, hey, help us caption this, because Adafruit's a very community-oriented company. So if we have like cool photos of something, sometimes we toss it in Discord or Twitter or our blog, and we're like, hey, like we're about to come up with like copy for this stuff.
Yeah.
Because often people come up with better things than we would. So we're just like, oh, we'll see how it goes. So this is some of the new banners we're going to be running with Adabot and Circuit Playground. And Circuit Playground Express and CircuitPython. So here's, I was going to read some of them.
Okay.
So some of them for this week that came in. This the ones we started with was learn to code with Adafruit. The road to code begins here. Your road to code starts at Adafruit. The code is clear at Adafruit. Feast your eyes on a new way to code. Other ones that came in, we have Peekaboo code. See the code, hear the code, speak the code. What's Adabot's favorite food? String cheese. That's funny. The amazingly fun Circuit Playground is totally forget about all that silly robot rebellion. There's fun as far as the eye can see. I like that one. That was nice. The only thing better than a Circuit Playground is 2 Circuit Playgrounds. Learn to code and smile while you do it. Taste a rainbow. My God, it's full of rainbows. That's from 2001, Space Odyssey. So thank you, everyone.
The unicorn version.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone who sent those in. And as soon as we have them, you'll see them. A little bit of a reminder, we're at adafruit.it/Discord, all during this and more. Switching up a little bit this week. So make code. Last week, we got the scoop with Lego,
Yeah.
and I think we posted it too soon, but this time it's
Now it's official.
It's real. So
Yeah,
go,
it's real.
yeah, so go to makecode.mindstorms.com. But this week we combined Noam Pedro's 3D printing video with MakeCode and drones and a claw. So I wanted to play this because it has MakeCode in it. So we're going to play this video.
Go for it.
You ready?
Yes.
Hey, what's up guys? In this project, we'll show you how to build a DIY drone claw. We designed and 3D printed a claw attachment for the DJI Mavic Pro. The claw is actuated using a micro servo and remotely triggered using the remote controller. This is really cool because it doesn't obstruct the vision sensors, so we can fly safely with obstacle avoidance. You could also use this to pick up the trash, carry objects to research sites, or even camping grounds. The DJI Mavic Pro has a max payload of about 2 pounds, which is enough to carry small objects. We're using the light sensor on the Adafruit Circuit Playground Express to detect when the LEDs are on. A light pipe tunnels the LEDs on the drone into the 3D printed enclosure, so the servo opens and closes when the LEDs are remotely turned on and off. The enclosure is mounted to the front legs and is completely lightproof. The shoulder buttons on the controller can be mapped to turn on and off the LEDs on the 2 front arms. We used Adafruit MakeCode to program the Circuit Playground Express. MakeCode is an easy-to-use drag-and-drop programming language that runs in Chrome. It features web USB, so you can upload your code directly from the browser. You can get all of the parts to build your own using the link in the description. M3 screws and nuts can be used to connect wires to the Circuit Playground Express. This way we can easily make connections without soldering. Stripped wires can hook in between the pads and nuts. These can be fastened together to make solid electrical connections. A small rechargeable LiPo battery fits inside the 3D printed case with the Circuit Playground Express mounted on top. 2 machine screws secure the case to the 3D printed leg extension. A 3D printed button extension will allow us to access the reset button on board the Circuit Playground Express. The cover snap fits on top of the case and has openings for the USB port and battery connector. The 2 are clamped shut with additional machine screws, making this a solid enclosure. The left arm of the claw is driven by the rotation of the right arm, which is attached to the servo horn. Use a lock nut or threaded insert to prevent the arms from unthreading. The servo press fits into the back leg extension with the shaft of the servo next to the arm. The servo horn press fits into the right arm of the claw and is secured with the included M2 screw. The arm is secured in place using an M3 screw with a threaded insert. We can use a piece of heat shrink tubing to insulate the light pipe, and this will prevent external light from getting into the case. Next, we'll prep the clip for the light pipe by inserting the filament into the small mounting hole. The back leg extension clips onto the 2 tabs that are on the bottom of the Mavic Pro. The 2 3D printed extensions are press fitted over the legs. A small additional clip will keep the wired connections away from the sensors and props. The clip for the light pipe is attached over the LED on the side of the arm. Then we can insert the piece of filament into both of the parts. The USB port is covered with a small 3D printed plate that slides and locks into the case. An additional cover fits over the battery port and slides over the power cable. With everything assembled, the clock can be tested by remotely triggering the LEDs. The code can also be customized to make automated servo movements. Using the light sensor is a novel way to trigger servos, and being able to remotely trigger them without additional radio modules simplifies the build. This build can be used for educational projects like the classic egg drop or even delivering small objects. There's lots of tasks that you can do with the claw attachment. The Circuit Playground Express makes these type of projects more accessible, especially with Make Code. There's tons of sensors on board so you can experiment with different inputs. We hope this project inspires you to build something with the Circuit Playground Express and Make Code. The code is shareable so you can modify it to work with your projects. Our design files, code, and step-by-step tutorial are there, so be sure to check it out on the Adafruit Learning site. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more 3D printed projects from Adafruit.
Okay, cool project, Noah and Pedro. Very clever with the little light pipe.
The light pipe thing is genius. I love it.
Okay, question that came in, reminder, so it's makecode.adafruit.com, but if you want to try other boards, not Adafruit, you can go to makecode.com, and then also you can go to maker.makecode.com. That has Gemma, there's Gemma.
Gemma, Trinket, Metro M0, and Feather M0, I think are the 4 that are basically the other M0 boards.
Yep, okay. Next up, we have some news in the world of CircuitPython
Tons.
and Code Plus community. So PyCon just happened.
It was epic.
Dan Scott and Kattni did a bunch of sprints and open spaces and more. We were a sponsor.
Yay.
So if you were there and you were attending, you got a PyCon Gemma.
Congratulations.
And they did a couple projects. They put up some videos, so I was just going to show this real quick. This is Gemma Light Touch. And RGB Gemma.
There's some demos for the guide.
Yeah. Now the cool thing is they have lightning talks, and that's the perfect amount of time for us to play and Ask an Engineer. So Scott, lead on CircuitPython, did a lightning talk, and we're going to play it. It's exactly 2 minutes and 58 seconds, which all...
I like how they were probably like, you have to be 3 minutes or less, and he's like,
yeah,
2 seconds to spare.
Okay, here we go. Take it away, Scott.
Thank you. We have Scott Shawcroft on CircuitPython, code and community.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, both PyCon people and internet people. I'm Scott Shawcroft. I'm a freelance developer for Adafruit on CircuitPython. I'm going to show you a live demo. So hopefully it works. It worked yesterday. So what I have here is a Adafruit Gemma M0. It's a tiny board. It's what you see there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug it in. It's got CircuitPython on it. For those of you lucky enough to be here, they're in your swag bags, so you can try this. And what it should be doing is it should be doing a rainbow color shift. But it's quite dim because we don't want to blind people when they plug it in. And so my goal here is to turn the brightness up. So while I plugged it in, it showed up as a USB drive here. This is the code part of CircuitPython. And what I got was a listing of all the files on the drive. And on there is a main.py file, which I'm going to open in Atom. And it has big text, so you should be able to read it. And the one thing I wanted to do was set the brightness to 1. Oh, don't want to do that. So I'll set it to 1, and then I'll go File, Save. And it should be brighter. I can't actually see it, so hopefully it works. Thank you. So I wanted to show you how easy it is to get started using CircuitPython. I could do it in a lightning talk. You can do it in the next 3 minutes if you like. That's the code part. This is how easy it is to get people using Python on hardware, which is super cool. Now I want to talk a little bit about the community. We have a Discord channel, which is a freely available chat service. We have a code of conduct, and we will ban people if they violate it. So we keep it a very open space. In addition to that, we have the Adafruit learning system, which is a bunch of tutorials on what you can do with CircuitPython and different pieces of hardware. We have all of our code is open source. It's based on MicroPython. You may have heard of it. They've done a great job, and we made it better for beginners. So check out our GitHub. And we're also on Read the Docs. If you're here at the conference, we're having an open space tomorrow and an open space on Sunday as well at 2 p.m. in room 20. So come visit us there. And if you're never coded in your life, give CircuitPython a try. And if you are a software person like I was and want to try hardware, this is great for you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, good work, Scott. So
Lightning.
apparently it's supposed to be 5 minutes or less, 3 minutes on the dot.
Yeah, but CircuitPython is so easy to use.
Yeah.
You'll be done in 3
All
minutes.
right. Moo News. So Moo's our favorite beginner editor. It's very
Nice.
powerful. And,
Yeah, I've been using it a lot.
It has a plotter in it. So this week's sensor graph with the plotter is Pulse.
Pulse.
Yeah. Take it away.
Sensor graphing with the plotter, featuring CircuitPython and Moo. Today, we'll be graphing Pulse. The Circuit Playground Express can be used to measure your heart rate and then graph it on the plotter in Moo. Our heartbeats can be measured by simply looking at our skin. The amount of light reflected by our skin varies with each pump of the heart, as pulse pressure increases and decreases. We can measure this change with the Circuit Playground Express. This is possible because of the close proximity of the light sensor and one of the RGB NeoPixels. We've written some code in CircuitPython that lights up the NeoPixel green and then samples the light sensor's readings. By gently placing a finger over the sensor and green light, the changes in light reflection value caused by the heartbeat pulse are detected and mapped to the plotter. And that's all it takes to graph heartbeats on the plotter with Moo.
All right, and if you're in Discord or if you just Google for it, Awesome CircuitPython is our list of all the resources. We'll be submitting it to the awesome list.
There's an awesome list of awesomes.
Yeah, and if you're having a hard time keeping up on all the CircuitPython news, which you should, because we're in the middle of it.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, we have Adafruit Daily, so you just go to adafruitdaily.com, and there's Python for microcontrollers. Sign up there, and you'll also see all the other newsletters we have, like electronic tips, wearables, cosplay, biohacking. Yeah, so we have all those.
Maker Business.
Maker Business is if you want to keep a pulse on the electronics industry, that's where if we see something interesting and cool, it's like, oh, this would be helpful for past us or present us or future us. So we write it for the people that are in this maker world. Okay, time travel. Back in world, makers, hackers, artists, engineers. You're probably wondering why that code was what it is.
Why is that code what it is?
Why is the code NYC Power Move?
NYC Power Move.
Well, there's women.nyc, and because you were part of the Her Big Idea video series, they sent out this thing, and they're like, put your power move on Twitter and tag it. So your power move was what, Lady Ada?
My power move is making electronics here in New York City using all this cool equipment, my brains, and some software.
And so if you look at the hashtag NYC Power Move, you'll see a lot of women founders, what's important to them, what their power moves are, and yours was unique because you're a manufacturer in New York City.
My power move is like 480 volts.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, we had to make sure we had that here. And I thought that, but there were so many things to say, but that one is very specific to you. But what was interesting is to see some of the other founders and some of the things important to them. And it was like a little bit of a checkbox. So like we have paid family leave, we have 401k for our employees, we have a mother's room, we have that too here.
Yeah.
Paying time off for charity. So it was really neat to see what's important and kind of the voices that weren't heard before now getting heard. So anyways, thanks for doing that. And check out the hashtag, and of course that's why the code is NYC Power Move.
Yes.
Okay, so 22 years ago-ish, IBM had this thing, and it beat Kasparov, and it was
Yeah.
called Deep Blue. And every single year,
Every year you do that. I love
every
it.
single
Oh,
year,
it's that time.
every single year, I ask IBM. I send an email. I try to find contacts. And
send an email.
yeah, there was a movie that came out later called Game Over, Kasparov and the Machine. Netflix originally released it, and I got it. And here's my point, because as we're approaching this world of AI, where like, oh, AI is going to take over everything, that's cool, sure, whatever.
Sure.
But if you're going to beat humans at something that humans were kind of known for a bit,
Like chess.
you have to open source it at least eventually. So
Also to prove that it wasn't cheating, which
So-
there's some
this is controversy.
controversy.
So Kasparov said it was a little unusual. I think he used a lot of other words, but it was a little unusual the way Deep Blue was playing, because it seemed to have human assistance, and that was against the rules. And if they quickly, the Wikipedia page was changed. It used to say Deep Blue was immediately dismantled. Now it says decommissioned. An engineer at IBM, off the record, told me not too long ago, by the way, Phil, Deep Blue is in China in the Lenovo like showroom somewhere. And I'm like, okay, cool.
do you want to do like an Ocean's 11 heist? Do you like
No,
you, me?
no, but I do think so. It's 22 years ago. I do think we could all be emulating Deep Blue and have an open source Deep Blue. And it would kind of just lay to rest, finally, did a human change something that was going on when it wasn't supposed to? And IBM is a fantastic marketing company that did IBM Watson on Jeopardy. There's lots of things that's marketing, and there's lots of things that's real. And with Watson, because you see the articles, maybe Watson isn't what it was marketed to be. So I think IBM would have a lot of
Goodwill, yeah.
positive, responses to, hey, here's Deep Blue, here's the code, go run it on your iPhone.
I think they should totally. I mean, that would be so awesome to be able to run it in your browser, with like WebAssembly, or run it on your phone and try it out and play with it. I mean, it's been over 20 years.
It's 22 years. Like,
There's nothing there that's so valuable. that
maybe
it's still-
maybe IBM and Kasparov could just say, if he says, you know what, forget it, it was a long time ago, I got other things working on, but I think he'd like to see it, and I think people who do chess would like to see it. I think it would benefit human knowledge. There's a lot of open source chess engines on that, but this is a mystery, and there's a movie, like there's enough stuff, like all they have to do is publish it. Surely they have it somewhere.
Yeah. No, they absolutely have it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
If that's what you want.
Yeah,
All
okay.
right, so every year.
Yeah, every year I
Okay,
ask.
so check back in like another 52 episodes, and we'll do this again.
Yeah. Bunny has, speaking of open source, Bunny has a new crowdfunding. It's on CrowdSupply. I'm just going to play the video. Whatever Bunny does, we'll stock it or buy it. He was doing things like the Chumby before there was even an iPhone. He did NETV, which was a lot of fun. It can take HDMI signal and do cool stuff with it. So he's doing NETV too. Take it away, Bunny.
This is the NETV2. It's a high-powered FPGA development board for processing unencrypted video standards like DVI. It's related to my lawsuit against the US government to decriminalize open innovation in digital video. Currently, Section 1201 of a law from 1998 called the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA, makes it illegal to bypass content controls that are applied to nearly every digital video port today. As a result, while your phone has seen amazing innovations in the last 20 years, your television has remained stagnant and tightly controlled. Hey, I'm Bunny. I want to build a box that helps your TV do cool stuff like this. I'm a hardware hacker with a proven track record of developing and delivering products, and I've even written a couple of books on the subject. I grew up before the DMCA, back when it wasn't a crime to access knowledge and people shared more openly. This freedom to learn was instrumental in the development of my skills. I want to conserve these freedoms for future generations. Without them, I worry innovation and expression will suffer. The NETV2 is a great development board for open video, but that's all it will ever be unless we prevail in court and change the DMCA. With the help of the EFF, I've already filed suit against the US government, but now we need your help to prove there is a commercial basis for open access to video. Help us prove they're developers who need essential freedoms to innovate amazing things by ordering your own NETV2 board. You'll get a state-of-the-art FPGA development board that can process unencrypted digital video standards. Just like any other development board, the firmware is open to hack, but the lawful limit of its capabilities is ultimately up to the courts. Your support matters. Help us stand up to the closed content cartel and reclaim our right to innovation and expression. Spread the word and please back our campaign today.
Okay, so straight up, whatever Bunny's working on, if y'all are into this stuff, even if you're not, take a look at it, and if you want to back it, we did.
He's also rocking like the classic, like super nerdy Course 8 MIT shirt. I got like the standard one. We went to the Coop. They had that one, but I'm not,
When we go back,
maybe I'll get that one too and then pick it up.
Okay, on the big board this week, Lady Ada, we have 1,453 guides.
We have a lot of guides.
What's going on?
Okay. We've got the Gemma Light Touch. That's that guide that Kattni and Dan Scott wrote up before they went to PyCon. Check that out if you have a Gemma and you want to build a fun project. We've got from JP the Pushrod Garage. This is using a servo and a circuit playground to make code to actuate different kinds of motion using a circuit playground and some motorized. So some basic cardboard robotics projects. Dave Estells has part 6 of his digital circuits guide. This time he's making an EEPROM emulator, and he's using a Metro M4 to do this. And I think it's even in CircuitPython, which is pretty neat. Like he's kind of pushing the limits of CircuitPython emulation and code. And then Drone Claw, that's that project we're going to be talking about from Noah and Pedro. Sorry, we showed the video from Noah and Pedro that uses the light sensor to actuate a claw, and it can pick up about 2 pounds worth of stuff. So good things from the learning system.
Okay, some made in NYC. I'm going to mix it up a little bit because I want to do a shout out to a company that's in New York, Rent the Runway. And I know you're probably saying, Phil, where do you get this wardrobe every week?
I know, these are amazing clothing.
No. So I posted this up on the blog. So the CEO and co-founder of Rent the Runway did a article in the New York Times, and she said, you know what? I had 2 different types of employees, and that wasn't right. There was the salaried folks with all the executive benefits and all this stuff, and they had 401ks and paid family leave, and then I had hourly folks. And it was so different between the two. She said that was causing a lot of churn. It wasn't good for the company, and they decided we're going to make the benefits equal. So one of the things that we did with Adafruit, everyone has the same amazing healthcare. Everyone has the same amazing 401k.
Yeah, I have the same benefits as the person who starts tomorrow.
I clock in and clock out, and I make less than everyone else on purpose. You make nothing because you and I think that's one of the changing landscapes in running a company. And I really like to see that. So it's a New York company. They did that. We have snacks for everyone. We have we decided to make it as equal as possible in every way, shape, and form for everybody here. And it's cool to see another company because it's a bold step. Because if you're publicly held, or if you have investors who are like, no, use part-time workers, use temp agencies, use all this stuff. We've never done that. We're not going to do that either. Yeah. But I thought that was good to see another company do that. We're built like that from the start.
And they're across the street too.
Yeah, I see their trucks all around. So if I ever have to get a different wardrobe, I will use Rent the Runway. Like a nice black gown.
But I think it's very interesting. I mean, a lot of people in New York, people who have companies. It's interesting the way she approached it. She said she fights for rights like, the right for the minimum wage of $15. Yeah. She's like, I was not actually... I wasn't walking the walk. She's talking the talk. So I think it's interesting. I'm really glad that she did, and I think New York is a city where we can do that. And we can show that you can run a company, and provide equal benefits to everybody.
One of the hardest things if people have part-time work, they need to get 40 hours, and maybe they can't. The companies do just part-time workers. They don't get benefits. They don't have any paid leave at all. They don't have vacation time. It's all the time off is accrued. You have to work an hour to get an hour, and it takes a really long time. And what happens is if something comes up in the person's life, they have to quit their job. There's no option for them. Yeah. And she talked about that there. And so since she announced the policy, she said the people who had the most benefits liked it the most because they didn't like having to have people come and go so much. They wanted to have long-term their teams have long-term careers. Yeah. So anyways, good stuff. Thank you, Rent the Runway. Now some factory footage.
Okay.
That one came in upside down. It's because we have a space
But that's
station.
cool.
Yeah, we were in anti-gravity. We're making crickets, so a couple photos.
We're starting the process. We don't
Yep.
have them ready for the store yet,
Soon,
but
soon.
they're coming soon. This is the nice effect from the selective solder nozzle.
Yeah.
Gets a little dirty.
This is now
Look cool.
run the machine. And as always, we had a storm here, so this is what a storm looks like outside the window.
Oh, I hope we got some lightning.
I don't know. It's always a surprise when you look at the footage. Look, beautiful New York City
That was
skyline.
nice. It's a nice sunset.
Okay. There we go. All right, 3D printing. Since we already showed the other video, we have a sped up. And this is a 3D printed like sundial. It's cool. It's a neat effect. You
Oh,
took-
this
it's a-
is the, yeah, I think I saw this. Okay,
Yeah,
don't spoil it.
Also, in 3D printing news, you need to immediately go to We the Builders if you have a 3D printer and help out. And
Everyone is welcome to join. If you have
Yeah.
3D printer, you have access to a 3D printer, please join in.
make a part.
They're going to build 3,000 parts of this mega statue. You don't have to have a big 3D printer because you're going to print one small part. And then We the Rose is going to get all those parts, put them together to create this beautiful statue of Rosie the Riveter. I forgot the name of the sculptor who designed it.
Oh, glad yes. Jen Shatner.
Jen Shatner.
Yeah.
Schechter.
Shack Attack.
Schechter. And it's going to be cool. So in all these different skin tones, representing all of the makers in the community, in the 3D printing community, coming together and building one project that is too big for one 3D printer, but not too big for all of us working together.
Yeah. So the build requires 2,625 parts. They completed 321. There's 1,972 parts in progress. Printing 244. Shipping 1,728. 332 parts are still in need of a builder.
So 332 of this view.
That's everybody out there.
Yes.
So grab a part and print. Okay.
I'm contributing a part.
We're sending a few.
We're sending a few.
Yeah.
There's people, many people at Adafruit are each contributing one part.
Okay. And don't forget 3D Hangouts. No Pedro every Wednesday. Lady Ada, there is still time to sign up for AdaBox. If you like robots, get an AdaBox. If you know someone who likes robots, you can gift one.
Robot
Trust
friends.
us when we say this is going to probably be one of the most epic AdaBoxes you can start now. Here is an AdaBox video to get you excited to then eventually remember to say, I should probably sign up for that. Okay, so that's AdaBox. Will be shipping soon. We're about to start new products, Lady Ada, so that means I got to show the code, and we see Power Move. And also, if you have an Adafruit account, we don't sign you up for anything. We don't have those popovers. We don't do that. But we do have a new product newsletter. If you go in your account and you want it, you have to actually opt. And you know what was cool? There's all of the privacy update stuff that happens with all these sites because we never done anything and we always are up front.
Yeah.
There was someone on Hacker News and they're like, who actually respects do not track and like the things, and someone, the example was Adafruit. Because
No, we totally respect the heck out of it.
yeah, and so those are all really important things. But I just wanted to say, like, we even came up with another website called Adafruit Daily for newsletters because we never want anyone to think that we signed them up for anything. We wouldn't do that.
Not possible.
So we just asked that you buy
It's so
stuff.
hard to sign up for our newsletters. That's why
Well,
it's
we
always
just-
amazing when people do.
Well, we figured if
That's good.
if we be good and do good and treat others how we want to be treated. Like, I don't like it when I order something online,
Oh, God,
and I even say don't send me anything, and then immediately I'm on a million.
You're on 15,000.
It's like it's never ending, and they do the remarketing thing where it's like, hey, we saw you were on the site earlier today. I'm like, oh no.
No.
So, anyways,
Okay.
Let's do this. New product time, dude.
Yep. New.
Okay, we got a lot of robot stuff going on. So what's this?
Robot pack. We got a pulley. This pulley works with our TT motors. We have the yellow TT motors, and we have some more in stock. But I want to show this off because it's kind of a neat. I'm trying to get little add-ons to our motors.
Let's see.
So this is just a pulley.
Oh, that's all the way over there. Yep. Yeah.
You attach it on. It comes with a little screw, and it's hard to zoom in. You have with a screw, and it has a little grooved pulley wheel. So good if you have rotational motion here and you want to rotate something over there. Maybe you want to change the RPM by gearing it up or down. This is just a really nice low-cost plastic attachment that is like easy to drill or cut, and it has some holes in it. So I think it's really good for some, projects where you want to pull something or turn something or twist something. Low-cost plastic pulley add-on for your TT motor.
Okay. Next up.
You're like, oh, I like that TT motor, but I really wish you had a motor with metal gears. Well, we do. We now have a version of the TT motors. These are gearbox motors. And the yellow one that I just showed you has plastic gears, which means it's lightweight, it's fairly quiet, and it's low cost. But let's say, hold on. I found it.
We lost it.
Well, they look the same. Let's say you're like, okay, I want to build a robot where I need more torque, and the plastic gears can strip. I want the motors to be a little slower and more powerful. Let's see, I want to be careful when I remove this. Oh. So this version, we have a version with full metal gears. So you can see it's all machined gears. It is geared down 190 instead of 1 to 48, so it's twice as slow, but it's of course twice as powerful at least, and also the gears will not strip because they're all metal, and even the motor that gear, the little one here, is metal and press fit on.
Okay, and we have another one.
We have two. They look identical on the outside because it's the inside that counts, and so the inside one, the other one, is half plastic, half metal. So let me show that one. So this one, the first few gears, which don't have a lot of torque on them, are plastic, and then the inner gears, which are metal, so the outer gears towards the output shaft, those are made out of machined metal. So, it's kind of tough to know, like, when do you need full metal versus buy, plastic metal gearboxes. A lot of it is just experimentation. If you're using a project and you're using maybe the plastic or plastic metal gears, and you're finding that the gears still strip once in a while, that's when you'd want to upgrade. Otherwise, these motors are the same size. They work with all the same accessories. You can use them with the same wheels and the pulley I just showed you, all that good stuff. They're just a little bit more durable, a little more expensive, and a little heavier. But I figured like it's rare to find motors like these available in full metal gearboxes. So I thought it would be kind of cool to carry in the shop. So that's why we got them.
Okay, next up.
Okay. We also have something non-robotic. We have this clear plastic padlock. This was a featured item in AdaBox 7. People really dug them. They're great for learning lock sport and lock picking because they're fully clear. They also look really cool. Great if you're doing your 90s hackers, cyberpunk cosplay, while you're also learning how to lock pick. But the tumbler inside is, is encased in plastic, and you can see it. So as you're picking it, you can see all the little springs move. It's really great for your first lock picking kit because you have that visual feedback, and then slowly you can learn the motion feedback and what to feel with the pick. But it's also a fairly easy lock to pick in general. It's not like a super tough, they kind of made it so it's a little sloppy, so it's easier to pick. So start with this, and once you get your confidence up, And you learn how to use the picks, then you can graduate to fully metal locks. But
Okay.
looks pretty cool, works great as well, and comes with 2 keys. So.
One note, what's the voltages on those motors, by the way?
Oh, they are 3 to 6 volts, and we sort of recommend running them at 5 volts.
Okay. All right.
So I just want to show the keys. Sorry.
You want to show the keys?
Yeah, I was about to grab the keys. So
Great.
comes with keys.
Okay. Next up, glowy. It's glowing. It glows.
Okay, this is Glowy Party. It's from Paint Your Dragon, and something people have been asking for. We have the M0 feathers, and people wanted a way to control a lot of neopixels with them. And one of the problems with neopixels is that oftentimes in your microcontroller code, you have to stop everything, write the neopixels, and then get back to what you're doing. If you have something like DMA, which is direct memory access, you can maybe set up the microcontroller to write to the pixels and make the pixels color data send the color pixel data while you're also processing something else, like maybe of Bluetooth data or Wi-Fi data or calculating the colors you want, whatever it is that you want to do. So for the Feather M0, the SAMD21, Phil B poured over the data sheet and found that there's a waveform generator, and that you can abuse this waveform generator with timer number 0 to create 8 channels of DMA neopixel output. So this demo is running with 144 LEDs on each of the 8 outputs. Each one is individually controlled, and it's fully DMA. So the microcontroller itself isn't actually doing anything but setting the color, memory data, and then letting the firmware kind of handle all that pixel pushing in the background. You can do up to about 2,000 pixels total. That leaves you plenty of memory left over. And the wing itself, let me grab one. What's interesting about this is we have 2 configurations available. I'll go to the overhead. This is the Feather wing, so it works with any of our Feather M0s, the Feather M0 Basic, Express, Bluefruit, Wi-Fi, whatever. Although, if you want the most pins, of course, the Basic and the Express have all the pins available. Because you're using the timer output, you do have to select. Some of them have options, like you can use either digital pin 12 or you can use the URX pin. So you might want to cut a jumper and select which one. If you really need I2C available, you can select to use other pins instead. Basically, whatever the timer 0 output pins are, you can select them. And then there's 2 ways you can solder it together. Either you can have 2 RJ45 jacks, and each one of these has 8 pads, so you get 1 ground and 1 signal as a twisted pair. And some people like these because it's just really easy to clip and connect your cables all at once. Or you can use this 2x8 header instead and not solder in the Ethernet jacks, and instead put this in, and then you get signal and ground pairs, and they're just like 0.1 inch spacing. Let me show the demo so you can see what this looks like when it's assembled. This is like a big thing. So this, I have it.
One over here, one over here.
Yeah, I have it on a doubler. So this is a Feather M0 Basic on a doubler, and then I have it with the Ethernet connector. So yeah, it's really easy if you want to disconnect, reconnect, disconnect. Here, I'll disconnect this one.
Okay, 2 quick questions with this.
Stop.
We'll do this now since it's part of this.
Yeah.
When would you use this DMA NeoPixel wing versus, other stuff like Fade Candy, Raspberry Pi Zero, and then is there a way to use the same protocol that like the Fade Candy uses?
We don't have a library example for Fade Candy. I mean, Fade Candy is good when you have a computer that's has a USB output, and you're using that USB. You're piping the data from a computer through USB to a device. The Fade Candy is kind of specialized for that. It has all the libraries and everything. This is handy when you have your microcontroller board and it's going to drive the pixels directly. Let's say you're reading data from an SD card and you're piping it out, or you're receiving data over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or LoRa radio or whatever, and the computer is not necessarily directly involved. Again, you could make this into a Fade Candy, but honestly, the Fade Candy does a really good job. I don't think you need to recreate it. It's about the same price to just get a Fade Candy and use that. But this is good when you want to have maybe algorithmically generated data from the microcontroller and display onto the pixels. So just another way to drive a lot of DMA NeoPixels. A lot of people like the Feather M0 and they're like, well, I want to I want to do NeoPixel stuff, but because I have the extra processor time and the extra memory on the SAMD21, but I don't want to spend all of my time like bit banging these pixels. I want to use DMA. So
Yeah. Plus, if you don't want to haul around a computer, stuff like that.
yeah, and this has the level shifters and everything done for you. That's kind of what's nice about this featherwing. The library itself, you don't actually need, if you don't mind breadboarding it, you don't need to use a feathering. The library works just fine as is on any SAMD21, but this feathering just makes...
And you can sign up for Cricut now.
Yes.
We're going to talk about it so we can refer to this later, but it is available for sign up.
Yep.
As soon as we have them in stock, you'll get an email. Cricut is our low-cost, easy-to-use electronics platform.
Yep.
For
robotics, creativity,
Yeah.
and interactive art.
So here we are. Cricut is here.
So this is our first prototype that we made off of the machine. And hand soldered the headers and everything on and attached a Circuit Playground Express to it. So we're gonna have versions. This one is a Circuit Playground Express one to start off, but we'll have a feather version and a microbit version later.
Yep.
What's nice is a Circuit Playground plugs in, it bolts on like a biscuit directly with these brass.
Shut off.
Yeah, shut off. Get out of the way, LEDs.
And we're going to be running the show a little bit later tonight, so you're going to see some videos of some of the things that we're making with Cricut.
There's just so much going on here.
So,
Okay.
it's real.
Yes, that's that. And then let me grab my person. So I have it actually connected up to these motors. So this is just an example. There's a lot of different outputs you can control with it.
Probably
Let's turn it on.
back it off a bit.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a powerful motor.
I know, I gotta watch out.
Full metal.
Full, yeah, these are the metal motors. So you can drive, motors. Has 8 signal pins, 4 servos, Darlington drive transistor for coils and solenoids and stuff. A NeoPixel with buffered 5-volt signal output. A 3-watt speaker driver, so the audio that can come from the Circuit Playground Express can play through a speaker, nice and loud. Capacitive touch. And all this handled by the Seesaw chip, which is a little coprocessor that runs our open source Seesaw firmware that does all the work for you. So all the PWMs required for the servos and the analog inputs, you don't have enough pins on the Circuit Playground to do that. There's only like 8 pins available. So instead we have the coprocessor do all of that work, and then we send commands over I2C. So the Circuit Playground can focus on doing like the Circuit Playgroundy stuff, and then driving motors, setting the PWMs or reading capacitive touch is handled by the little helper. And it's actually, when we did the design, it just turned out to be easier and cheaper to have a full other SAMD processor do that for us.
Yeah.
Even though there's not a lot of firmware, it just has all of the pins and all the timers that you need to do that.
Yeah, one question that came up is what is the micro USB port for, say, Seesaw only? Because that's when you would just be updating the Seesaw. You wouldn't
Yeah.
program the Circuit Playground with that.
Yeah, the Circuit Playground is like this processor that does the
Yeah.
code, but it was just so inexpensive to add a micro USB jack, and we probably will be updating the Seesaw firmware. Like, let's say we want to add rotary encoder support or optical encoder support, or like we want to make tweaks to the firmware. It's just easier to tell people, hey, there's a USB port just for updating the Seesaw itself. You can connect over the micro USB jack and program it that way. But you can't program the Circuit Playground from this USB connector. It's just for the Seesaw.
Okay, so we're going to be playing some videos in a little bit. We're going to be running the show later. But that's new products. But before we go on to that, I'll just say this. As we've been developing these robotics projects.
Years, yeah.
So one of the things that was hard, I'll say hard for me, but I think hard for everyone, is when you would make a Arduino project, you'd have to save it and then you download it, and if you're doing little tiny iterations, it just added a minute and then a minute and 2 minutes. And when you're doing robotics, you're doing lots and lots of iterations.
Especially like we did one project where you have to calibrate a motor to make it,
would just take too
match
long.
up. And just getting it like, okay, run it, and then, okay, try 0.1, now try 0.2, now try 0.3 to get the exact speed that you want.
With CircuitPython, and especially with the REPL, it's instantaneous robot programming, and I think that real-time nature of programming, especially interpretive languages, especially for robotics, especially for beginners, when you can instantly see what you're doing, and when you save it, it's running.
Yeah, instant feedback,
it's
instantly
super
fast.
powerful.
Yeah, so
Super
fast
powerful.
to do. We've been running all the code in CircuitPython.
Yeah.
Eventually we want to support MakeCode as well. We're working on that.
Yep.
Arduino it already supports, but we think CircuitPython is where this really shines.
So sign up in the store.
Yep, coming soon.
Okay, and this new products I do.
We're ready for recap.
Okay, here we go. What's new this week?
Recap. New products. We've got the motor, TT motor pulley. This little plastic pulley plugs into your TT motor, any kind, and just makes it easy for you to have a 2mm diameter pulley system. We've got bi-metal gear and full metal gear, solid TT motors. We have the full plastic gear ones. Those work great, but when you need extra torque, slightly slower but much more powerful, these are geared 1 to 48 instead of 1 to 90. So, 1 to 9 instead of 1 to 48, so they're much slower but much more powerful and a lot more torque. This clear plastic padlock is great for learning lock sport if you want to practice your lock picking. It's super easy to see what you're doing and get visual feedback as you learn lock picking skills. The NeoPixelate Featherwing lets you use your Feather M0, any model, with up to 8 channels of DMA NeoPixel Glory. You can control up to 2,000 pixels, 8 strands, all over DMA, and this Featherwing helps you do that with level shifting and connectors. And coming soon, we have the Circuit Playground Cricut. The Cricut is your way to make a robot friend with the Circuit Playground. Bolts on, lets you control servos, motors, solenoids, sensors, capacitive touch, speakers, NeoPixels, all that good stuff. Makes it super easy in a beautiful octagonal package. Sign up now.
That's new products. Okay, the code is NYC Power Move. We have a couple top secrets, and we're going to play some Cricut stuff. So top secret this week, Lady Ada, you were busy making more feathers. What are these?
This is 2 feathers. So one, I designed the feather, the next one is the Feather M4 Express.
This one first?
Yeah, I had designed a Feather M4 with the G19 version, and I realized afterwards, like we all kind of, Scott, I think maybe noticed first, that there's no I2S on the G version of this chip. So I respun it in with the J version of the chip. It's a little bit bigger, but I got everything to fit. I kind of squished it all together. And it's basically the basic proto version of a Feather M4 with the ATSEM D51. And then as I was looking at the datasheet, I realized, I can get that chip drop-in replaceable, but it has a CAN bus interface. And I thought, well, people have been asking for a CAN bus device for a bit. So I took out the proto area and stuck in a CAN bus transceiver chip and this terminal block, so you can basically use the same Feather M4, but with CAN for industrial uses.
Yep, over 100 plus Featherwings out there. Big companies, small companies.
Everyone.
Using the Feather form factor, Particle, Maxim, go on Tindy, you see a bunch. So good work, Lady Ada.
Yes.
So it's not a,
coming out soon, don't ask.
Okay, so this is part of the coming soon. We're working on a lot of Cricut projects, and we didn't name the Cricut yet, but these are all robot friend projects.
Wait, the Cricut's not named Cricut?
I mean Cricut. Cricut the Cricut.
Cricut,
Sure.
Okay.
So the theme is make robot friends and do projects with robotics that maybe people didn't get to.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just too hard to do. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's too complicated. But we have a few. So the first one, we did this one right after we had dinner with Pimeroni. Mm-hmm. They happened to be in town. We came back here, and human children apparently blow bubbles.
I've heard.
So here's one that we made. It's a bubble blowing robot. And this is a very simple bubble wand. Dips in, a fan blows. That's a projector on a balloon to have that like Disney-like effect. But you can imagine putting it on wheels, and you can do like massive bubble machines.
Yeah.
For the question about is that real video or the lip sync, that was real video at the same time going through a projector onto a balloon. Next up, human children like to play music, apparently.
They do.
So here's
human children.
So here's one, and this was just a very simple test to try something out. And one of the other things that robotics didn't really have is sound and servos and solenoids and motors all
Yeah.
being able to do something at the same time. And then there's a lot of internet video and footage of things. And Saturday would have been Richard Feynman's 100th birthday. So we decided, let's make a little Feynman robot. He liked to play the bongos. So
Famous for it.
Yeah, so I'm only allowed to use trash that's around.
That's right. You have to dig through the garbage.
Yeah, and so
Well, we have budgetary
Starbucks. Yeah, we're saving cash here. Starbucks spoons, and then these are Chinese food containers, and then I just printed out a Feynman thing, and then we had them talk. So here we go.
It was not much science, it was a lot of engineering. Truth is so remarkable, so amazing. The real test in physics is experiment, and history is fundamentally irrelevant. I get a kick out of thinking about these things. I can't stop. I think it's much more interesting to live not knowing than to have answers which might be wrong.
And one of the things that human children do, they go to, well, there's these things at fairs.
I like your analysis of
Yeah,
human babies.
At fair, well, they also, it's like, what can parents build together
Yeah.
that's just out of low-cost things, easy to do, all cheap.
Yeah.
The other thing we looked around with robotics was it was all like $300. And
Yeah, no, it has to be
There's too much
affordable.
money. So this one was, I got a Starbucks salad,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, this could be a container for spinning something, so you can do like paint.
Yeah.
So here's the friendly paint bot. What's cool about this, because we can do audio and we can control different servos, it can give you instructions too. It can also let you know visually, oh, green means it's now time to paint, red maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Also play music. So let's take a look at that.
Hello, I am Cricket. Place the paper on the wheel. Now put the salad cover over it. Okay. Drip the paint in the cutout. Let it dry and make robot friend.
And there's other things that you can do with spinning. You can decorate cupcakes. You could make little custom mini pizzas. You can also make artwork, and you can make a zoetrope.
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 Let's see a video.
That's what happens behind the desk of Lady Ada. She doesn't seem to care too much. We're going to answer questions. They're in Discord. Don't forget, we're 5,000 humans. Adafruit.it/Discord. Go ahead and start asking your
away.
questions.
I'm gonna try to put together these motors.
Yeah. I have another
apart.
bot.
Yeah?
You know, I didn't get to the glue spinning and then glitter on top of that. Okay. Is the Circuit Playground Express using the SCMD21G18A-AU?
Yes.
Yes.
That was an easy
Okay.
question.
Suggestion for the art bot, you can wind an awesome ball of yarn. That's correct. Some other
idea.
questions. Yeah, folks were like, oh, I saw County Fairs had to spin art. it was called spin art.
Spin-
Okay.
spin
Will there
art,
be a
spin art.
feather wing version of the Cricut? I thought I saw one. Yes.
Yes, there will be.
Yeah. How is there any info on how many steppers the Cricut can control?
The Cricut isn't like super designed for steppers, but you can do one bipolar and one unipolar stepper by taking advantage of the ULN 2003 for the unipolar and the the bidirectional DC motor for bipolar steppers. So you can do it. It's not like super stepper designed, but because steppers do require a lot of H bridges, but it's possible.
Lady, when you write down who's on the show and tell us that you can remember to say it later.
Yes.
Okay. Will that artwork that the spinner bought sell for $50 million one day?
Yes. Trash botics.
I think everyone could make their own art, and maybe art shouldn't cost $50 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a little weird when art is so expensive and then maybe you never see it again. It's interesting, but I don't know. I think we can all make our art. What is the max supply voltage on the M0 boards for 6 volt, whereas the max supply voltage on the 5 volt trinket, the Pro trinket is 16 volts. The M0 base boards would be good for automotive apps to allow higher input voltages.
The reason is because the M0 boards have a power regulator that can do 500 milliamps, and to do that I had to use a chip that only has 6 volt max, and it's because like Wi-Fi, the kind of you can do more with the M0 chip, so I wanted to have a better 3.3 volt supply that could drive more stuff, like more NeoPixels or LEDs or a Wi-Fi chip. So it's a trade-off. Honestly, automotive applications, the 12 volts that come out of automotive is like so messy. You don't want to plug it into your microcontroller anyways. So I would suggest going through like a USB adapter that gives you USB voltage output and then plug that into your trinket. That's a safer way to go about it anyways.
Okay. Why Darlington rather than MOSFET?
Super low cost, and also there's just some situations where you want to be able to just connect the output to ground. Say you want to drive like a higher voltage output, you can do that by separating the power supplies and then just sharing the ground lines. I thought like Darlingtons were just like it kind of solves the problem and has a built-in kickback diode, so it's really great for solenoids and stuff where you just want, like, you have a 5 volt and you just want to drive an output to ground. You don't need to drive it high and low. For that, you would use the DC motor driver out.
Okay. Might the Feather Cricut be out and ready for AdaBox 8? Well, we don't say what's in AdaBox, but I'll say if you like robotics and you like Circuit Playground, and you might want to get an AdaBox.
Yeah.
Can your UBEX solve the car problem? The answer is yes. I have an old video in your forums about it. Okay, guess you solved it. Good work.
Okay, great.
Will CircuitPython
Problem
have
solved.
support for Cricut? Absolutely yes.
Yeah. CircuitPython already does. It's in the guide.
Okay, when you use sync type Darlington and when source type?
You pretty much only use sync type. I've never seen anyone do source Darlingtons. You always sync to ground because your NPNs are going to be stronger.
Okay. QSPI Flash VFAT file system for M4 on the Arduino. Is Adafruit moving towards more use of CAN bus?
There's QSPI in the M4. I think you asked if we were going to write the fat file system stuff eventually. I haven't done it in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
I think if you watch the repo, somebody will eventually commit the code, or you can do a pull request. And we've only had one CAN bus example, so I guess we're moving towards it because we're moving from 0.
We're not moving away from it.
We're not moving away from it.
We're not running away from the bus.
Yeah. I guess we're gonna
No
have
one's getting
one.
thrown under the bus.
We don't have a car, so it's tough to like test this stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll figure out how to test it.
Okay. So those are the questions, Lady Ada.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thank you. All right, I got one motor put together.
Good job. Let's do a trivia question.
Yeah.
What do you want to give away?
We're gonna give away one of the clear lock pick locks.
Clear lock, pick lock. Okay.
Clear locks, clear
what
padlock locks.
What are the rules?
The rules are if you've won something before, you can't win again. Only one winner per my lifetime. The first person to call the phone number when you put on the screen, and I pick up and I say hello, and you respond and don't hang up on me. And then I ask you your name, where you're calling from, and a project you're working on or you want to work on, and you are able to answer those 3 questions, will win the prize of a clear padlock. Oh, great for general purpose padlocking or also to learn lockpicking.
That was fast.
They were ready. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, you've reached Messenger. Please turn off your computer audio, because I can hear it.
Oh,
It's like a radio station.
Turned it off.
Okay, great.
Okay.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Tanner, and I'm calling from Fort Bragg on my vacation. I'm in
yay!
California.
Awesome. Okay, well, Tanner from Fort Bragg, congratulations. You're the winner of this wonderful clear padlock. You can use it to lock up your stuff while you're on vacation.
Learn about locks.
Or learn about locks. What's a project you're working on or you want to work on?
Currently I've just been crocheting. I haven't done too much electronics recently.
That's okay. This
But
padlock will keep
still
your
watch the
crochet
show.
safe. Okay, well, you win
Gotta
something
pick
awesome. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You got to pick up a different project and take a break from what you're currently doing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, well, congratulations, Tanner. All you have to do is email support@adafruit.com, support@adafruit.com, and say, hey, I'm Tanner from Fort Bragg, and I won a 3804. That way they'll get you the right item, 3804, and they'll ship it out to you as soon as possible.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, have a great night.
You too.
Okay, bye, Tanner.
Bye.
All right. That was fast.
All right.
Speedy.
You know, that just brings up a good thing. In the maker world, and I think especially in the Adafruit community, there's more makers that are doing all sorts of things and they're talking about it, and it's a good way to avoid burnout. Do another type of project everything takes like 2,000 hours.
You don't have to do electronics all the time.
But if you do things that are like arts and craft based, you can combine them. You can combine them in different ways. There's all sorts of stuff. So it's not just limited to electronics. And I think that's one of the things that's really changing with more communities coming together. And it's been a good trend to see.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, ladies. Well, that's our show for
Thanks,
tonight.
everybody.
Don't forget the code is NYC Power Move.
Don't forget to sign up for the We the Builders if you haven't yet.
Yep. And special thanks to all the Adafruit team members, both remote and here, the entire Adafruit community. And thanks to all the team members that have been working really smart and working really hard to get this Cricut out. This is kind of a big deal. We hope that the artistic world of making things can now have a low-cost way to do that with things that move, things that make sound. So thank you everyone who's been working on that, from the code to the physical things to just all the different pieces. And thanks to everyone who's been supporting this effort for a while.
We're doing it. We're finally doing robotics. We've had this box of robotics for like 4 or 5 years. We're finally getting through everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hauling it around for a while, but now finally we're getting all the robotic stuff in.
Thanks for everything, everybody. Don't forget the code.
Have a
we'll
great
be going
night.
on till midnight tonight, and we will see everybody next week. Here is your moment of Zener.
Good night.